So this next video is on, yes, a transit happening now, it's big, of Uranus moving out of a sign of Taurus and into Gemini. So the planet will stay in a sign but a house for 7 years or so, and so you can expect it to be there for that long. And so in that time a lot will happen. But Uranus in general, this is, that planet that's outside and in the outskirts, right? Of our solar system. But just in a general purpose way, in a simple way, represents beliefs. And even alternative beliefs, but it represents other things as well. But that really makes this reading more, simple. It can also represent, through Aquarius in the sign, the unusual, the more eccentric, certainly down to people and places. It can represent the occult, among other things. But in Taurus, we had the focus through Venus, the planet that was holding rulership, on love and relationships, marriage, even the married partner, somebody that you were with. We had the focus also on your career, as well as matters that had to do with law, litigation, but it's primarily that person, whomever it was, a married person, spouse. It could be a lover, but more than likely it was someone more serious. So what we would have found through Uranus is that, yes, your beliefs about this person definitely changed at this time, and maybe not for the better, but that there was a lot of instability. There were separations, there were, even comings together, but you would have found that during this time, that, relationship had probably ended. And it wasn't all at once, so it was for that entire duration of, several years that it had kind of broken down. So maybe that wasn't something that you necessarily were looking for, per se, but it still happened nonetheless. And that person was usually sort of very different at the genius level, but kind of like the polar opposite of you. And when it, almost like fully ended, and I think that would have come at the very end of, that transit, say, you probably had found that you encountered the same kind of people showing up that were like them. So that were very unusual by their beliefs, even down to their appearance, and that weren't very stable and weren't someone that you could rely upon. Some of they were interesting though, and you thought it was maybe possible that you could have been with them, but it just didn't work out, and maybe the way that you thought it would, like, that married person that you had lover, if you wish to call them that, been with. So in effect, this was the transit where an ending happened. You were off on your own. You would have been off on your own, and you would have found yourself more liberated and free, although it brought with it, this sort of Wild West mentality, but scenario setting with people, places, and things, and there just being more, instability. Yeah. And I think that also extended to something like your money, your finances, when, before maybe, like initially when you first met them, things were probably very fine and sound, and then that altered, that changed. And with matters of law and litigation, I think there could have been definite surprises and those that maybe were not in your favor, and that had to do with them specifically and the kind of finances, the monies that you had, but you know, good or bad. hmm And there being a shortage, perhaps, or I think more of a shortage, but just differences there than some kind of grand, lottery or winnings. hmm So I think it was a sad time for people. People were trying to find the special someone, and it didn't happen. hmm But now, with Uranus moving out of Taurus, there's greater likelihood for that to transpire. It will be, and presently is, in Gemini now. And that's ruled over by planet Mercury, as we know. The planet of communication, sure, but the planet mostly of education, learning, of the past. Specifically, the past and, this earlier sort of time period. Mm-hmm. Um, so it's very different energies, airy. It is, and you would find that the focus is now on learning about something, from before that interested you. And that, had to do with program of study or some kind of mhm, training, as you would have it or call it. And you will know specifically what that is if you look to where Gemini is sort of placed by your ascendant. But you will be revisiting that in some way during this time. Going over it, sort of revolving it. Your beliefs are definitely going to change having to do with it. And you will furthermore find that you come to a new perspective on it, which is that time of study of the past, say. Yep. Beyond that, there's short distance travel that you can expect, and there's siblings and the sort of meetings with them again. So if you take trips, it'll be to those places of education and learning, from before again, that had to do with probably your early years, and I would say before college age. So that's coming back to you. It is in some way. And with younger people, since Mercury represents younger people, and so you'll find that they show up in some way. Yep, they appear on the scene, say. In a certain regard. Then we have siblings. The siblings can appear too, and in certain ways as well. And but again, I think it's not going to be so stable because this is an air sign, sure, but it's also again the planet Uranus showing up as it's an it's not a stable planet anyway. So they may appear, but they're going to appear through those same matters that have to do with education, learning, and training of before. Something of the past. And I wanted to highlight that Uranus is going to bring out the best in whatever it was that you were, a part of before. It's going to advance it. It's going to heighten it, since that's what that's what necessarily the planet would do. It would, and it would, I think, give you greater insight about that, and in some kind of very, and I'm assuming profound way. And there can be a lot of, I think, unexpected some things that come up in almost like eureka moments that would transpire as a result, of that. So, I mean, to summarize in a very simple way, um, in Taurus of before, the focus was on love and relationships of, that current moment. And again, those not being maybe so steady and so assured. But now we have through Gemini the interest in education and learning from the past, and mhm, and these deep sort of changes that would come, but to one's own mind and then especially like thought process.